First of all, I would like to thank the government of Ukraine and the European Commission and the government of Poland and all members of high-level steering committee for recognizing that science is not only part of Ukraine's recovery, it's one of its drivers. I would also like to thank the members of community of interest on engagement, the Ukrainian diaspora and internationalization of Ukrainian studies. Together with representatives of ministries, research institutions and universities, and also diaspora organizations and foreign partners, we developed a set of practical recommendations on how to mobilize Ukrainian science talent worldwide for Ukraine's recovery and European integration. Since 2022, a lot of Ukrainian scientists joined leading universities and research institutions across Europe and beyond. While many speaks about brain drain, we see an opportunity for brain circulation. Based on the survey of the Ukrainian science diaspora representatives, discussions at the meeting of community, and feedbacks from various stakeholders, we identified 3 priorities for 2026-2027. The first priority is creating pathway for diaspora meaningful engagement and possible ways to return. We have active science diaspora networks, successful examples of returning scholars, and growing pool of Ukrainian origin experts in your countries willing to contribute to Ukrainians' recovery through science, innovation, and evidence-based policy making. Most importantly, we have a clear vision on integrating diaspora expertise into reconstruction efforts. The members of Coalition can contribute immediately by setting up joint appointments, virtual labs, visiting scholar schemes, policy advisory roles, mentoring, and participation in recovery projects. Diaspora scientists can also help Ukraine learn from the best international practices in research governance, innovation, university management, and science policy cooperation. What we need now to extend existing mechanisms with new, more flexible ones, temporary return fellowships, and grant-based cooperation models. The second priority is internalization of Ukrainian higher education and research institutions through diaspora instruments. We have good understanding of what will work, good partners in Ukraine to act, and diaspora networks in your countries if needed to help coordinate the bridge. We already have a couple of very effective examples that provided this concept. For example, the UK-Ukraine concept, Estonian partnership with Polish and Germany. At the same time, many of Ukrainian universities and research institutions lack of international experience. Ministry of Higher Education and Science of Ukraine has launched the Science Ambassador Initiative. Universities and research organizations are beginning to implement diaspora engagement mechanisms of internalization. Important to mention research equipment transfer where Ukrainian science diaspora can play a huge role, but about this you can hear a little bit later. Also, it is important for us to make diaspora engagement a permanent element of university internalization strategies and Ukraine's integration into European research area and the European higher education area via active participation of Horizon Europe Office and Erasmus Office of Ukraine. We need now is support for implementation and scaling. And the third priority of science diplomacy and countering Russian disinformation in the EU. Through growing a community of Ukrainian scientists abroad, Ukraine is already promoted, international cooperation strengthened and trusted, evidence-based voices provided in global discussions. We can transform them into a network of science diplomats to help counter Russian disinformation in the EU. The Ukrainian Science Diaspora is launching a project on science diplomacy training based on new developed European framework for science diplomacy. The next challenge is not training more science diplomats, is to support diaspora-led science diplomacy initiative, fellows, bilateral cooperation projects, expert missions, policy engagement activities, and strategic communication efforts. Colleagues, we have good news that we do not need to start everything from the very beginning. We already have motivated communities and people. We have successful examples, and we already know what works. We want to make sure that this coalition of interest By the time we see each other next year, grow into the honest broker that helps define ways to multiply your investments and commitments in Ukrainian research and infrastructure system, using synergy between the action of coalition of members. Our message today is simple. Help us scale these successes and make them systematic. We need political support to ensure long-term commitment and policy continuity. We need financial support to transform pilot initiatives into sustainable programs. We need institutional support to embed diaspora instruments into national policies and institutional practices. Reach out and let's maximize the impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.